In this video, we'll be using the quote block to set up some one-time pricing. Qwilr supports both one-time and recurring price quotes, so be sure to check out our video about recurring pricing as well. One good thing to know about Qwilr's pricing tools is that you can combine them in all kinds of ways. For now, just know that everything you'll see here is basically a building block, which you can stack up with other building blocks to make an exact quote you need. I'm working on a proposal to redesign my client's banana stand and then have a launch party. I'll add a new quote block to the page and choose the standard layout. It starts out with one section, so I'll make this the redesign part of the quote. Let's start with the default line item. It's a fixed cost line item. That's a line item that always has the same unit price. This is the type of line item you'll probably use most often. I'll go ahead and fill in my product description, unit price, and quantity. To add a second line, I'll click the Fixed Cost button. Or, if I wanted to add a new line between two others, I could click this plus symbol instead. That fills out my redesign section. Now I'll add a new section for the launch party. I'll use the table style here, so it's the same as the section above. And I'll add more line items. We covered more about managing sections and line items in our video on quote block basics, so be sure to check that out. Now that the quote is filled out, I want to give my client the ability to make some choices. That way they can control what the total price ends up being. Let's do that here in the launch party section. I'll have a line item here for a live band, but maybe my client won't want that, so I'm going to make that line optional. Here in the line item options, I'll go to properties, then I'll enable the switch. And now the line item has a checkbox. I'll present the quote with this item selected, but my client can uncheck it if they want to opt out. Now I'll work on this line item for bananas. My client needs to choose the quantity they want for the party, so I'll head into the line item options in the properties, and I'll add an optional quantity range. I'll put in a minimum and maximum quantity. And now my client will be able to use the arrows to set the quantity or just type the number. The price will recalculate automatically from their choice. I'll go ahead and set up a line item for chocolate with an optional quantity too. But with this peanut sprinkles line, I want to give them more choice. So I'll give this line an optional quantity range, but I'll also set it up as an optional line item. And now my client can decide whether to include it in the quote, and if they want to do it, they can choose their quantity. The last line I need is for printing some flyers. And these are a special case because the larger the quantity we print, the more the unit cost goes down. So for flyers, I'll use a different type of line item, the variable line. With this line in place, I need to create a price range. So I'll click on the unit cost field and then manage my library of variables. I'll create a new one for my flyers and set the base unit price at 25 cents. Next, I'll put in an over condition to show if my client orders more than 250 flyers, the unit price drops to 20 cents. Finally, I'll add an under condition. If my client orders fewer than 100 flyers, they'll be more expensive, 35 cents each. With that done, I'll head back to the quote and choose my new variable. I need to give this line an optional quantity as well. And now, as my client chooses the number of flyers they want, the unit price will adjust automatically. Now let's talk about creating packages. My client and I have also discussed promotions for the launch party, but they aren't sure if they want to hire me to do that. So I've added one more section to my quote covering promotional services, and I want my client to be able to opt in or out of that package. I'll head to the options section of this block and open the quote type menu. I just want my client to choose one package here, so I'll use the single select setting. That places these buttons in each section, so the client can click to select the package. If I wanted all of my packages to be optional, I could leave things like this, but in this case, I only want promotional package to be optional. So I'll head to the properties for the other two sections and turn off this button. So now my client can click the button to include the promotions package or not. And that's everything about one-time pricing. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at help@qwilr.com or click the help button in the app.